Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Coldcast. Coldcast on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm your co-host and producer, ManoNegra, and here we got the man of the hour, Pheanor. What's happening, baby?
Colt rising on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Feels good, man. Feels good.
Let's go.
Yes,
we got a phenomenal show. It's been a crazy week. I'm telling you, I have finally have been baptized by fire. I know now what it means to be in the trenches, and I'm loving it. I've been trenching. I actually, you told me something yesterday, and I really thought about it. You say, "Hey, man, I'm low-key jealous that you right now, the way your schedule work, you truly be able to be in the trenches for real, And
right.
I want to be able to capitalize on that. But without further ado, man, go ahead on and let everybody on the other side of the screen what we have on the docket today for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of getting back in the swing of things. You know, last week we kept it brief. Unfortunately, I was a little under the weather. But man, what a series of events we've had here in July. Now, you'll remember, let's dial back just a little bit over the past couple episodes. We were preaching, you know, selling May go away, buying June, stay tuned. In July, we'll go sky high. We got the impulse in July. We've had some good price action. Is it everything we were looking for? Maybe not. Was it some good price action? Yeah. So now here we are. We find ourselves on the back half of July. And then what happens? We get Robinhood enter the scene, right? Enter the stage. We got B20 from Base enter the stage. We've got Ansem from Solana. We got the creator capital markets popping off. On-chain volume soaring, right? And so we're kind of we're saying as we move from the past, we were looking at on-chain metrics to validate a bear thesis, the finality of a bear thesis, right? Now we're looking at these on-chain metrics and we're saying, okay, is this early signal? What are we seeing here? Is this volume returning? Are people putting on a risk-on appetite? What does this imply for the sentiment? How long will it take for this sentiment to catch up to some of these implied data metrics that kind of are signaling forward to hopefully a continued strength in the market? So we'll dive into all of that. We want to always make sure we keep XRP Ledger, even more so the XRP Ledger, first and foremost in our considerations because we are XRP natives. Cult, the project, is actually on XRP Ledger in all ways. So, you know, that's our home. Of course, we love branching out and visiting people in the multi-chain ecosystem of Web3. Obviously, we love having our broadcast here on YouTube, signaling out to the people who live on the spot market side of crypto, on the layer ones, XRP in this instance. But hopefully, by the end of this, and maybe over the course of a number of months, we'll take on a broader, how would we say this? A broader demographic, a broader appeal of multi-chain, XRP home, but also respecting our friends that are just holding their XRP based on their own thesis of just XRP for itself. So you don't want to miss this episode. We're going to try to create the entry for the bull thesis, what signals we're looking at, and most of all, what is most important, we're going to try to tie these signals together to make a thesis about where is the biggest gains going to be for the XRP community. And not to hold you on this, I think it's going to be on the ledger. Well, I think we're going to see something similar to late 2024, which was a situation where you couldn't miss. Everybody bagged up.
Right.
It was a ton of fun, and we all learned a lot. So that's what we're getting into today.
Phenomenal. So before I ask you the first question, I want to go ahead and let everybody know that we're super happy that you guys are here on a Thursday. I know that we just changed the schedule. Also, I want to give some good news. I got some merch already being produced. It's going to be a limited run of hats. And these hats, I actually sat down with a guy who is a total just pro on the whole embroidery quality stuff. This guy has a local is a huge local shop that is actually he's so good at it. He's swallowing the other shops. That's actually why we were delayed a little bit. So make sure that you stay tuned because we're gonna have a limited run and we're gonna have, I mean, first come, first serve. Obviously, if you're part of the Cold community chat and the Cold server, you're probably gonna get dibs over there as well. But we're gonna be rolling out the merch slowly, and we want to make sure the merch is not for us to make money. I mean, we could, but we know me and Pheanor talk about this. We're probably not going to do that. We're going to keep it exclusive. We want to make sure that it's quality and they're limited runs because we want to make sure that these lands on the hands of those who are really putting in the work and the back end. The other thing that I wanted to say also is that appreciate the love. You guys are here on a Thursday, 7 p.m., completely different time and day, and that means a lot. And lastly, just make sure that you smash the like button. Make sure that you leave a comment. That helps with the algo a lot. And make sure that if you're watching this on X, make sure that you repost because that helps us get in front of more people. So, Pheanor, I got a question for you. Let's begin with the state of the market review. We are, broadly where we are, right in the kind of the broad market, and how are things shaping up for the rest of the year? Because you just said something that to me, it just tickled my ears. Right? You say, hey, this is gonna be like the end of 2024. Everybody ate good. Everybody won. I'm telling you, that was my first big win. I can wait to see that. And again, I want to know where we are in terms of, bearish, bullish. Just give us an overview of this.
Yeah, so I think as we back into this, we want to take especially for the people in Colt, we try to take a macro view. We're trying to think at least in 4 quarters. Hopefully, we're trying to take a whole year view. So we're thinking about the ecosystem from the beginning of its last kind of boom bust cycle. All financial markets move in a boom bust cycle, so there's nothing new there. But we do want to say, hey, if we're trying to forecast, especially for XRP natives, if we're trying to forecast, we're saying where is the highest potential for asymmetry to occur in the market? And in my opinion, I think that that's going to be a replication or something similar, something that rhymed with late 2024 on chain. Okay, so on the XRP ledger, now this is going to be a bit of a step for most people that are holding XRP, the broader XRP community. They're used to holding the token as a speculator, just either on a Coinbase or an Uphold or wherever they, whatever markets they're frequenting. But we're talking about something a little bit different here. And I would challenge everybody, especially now that we're here on the very entry of this. We're going to show you these early signals. Now's the time to go ahead and get in place, get your wallet, get familiar with the ledger, and get in place for what could potentially be the highest point of asymmetry available to XRP holders. We're not talking about leverage or anything like that. So in late 2024, we had an amendment come out on the XRP ledger. It had to do with what are called liquidity pools, or the AMM, automated market maker. Essentially, what this allowed people to do was issue their own assets, whether it be a meme coin, a project, utility token, anything in between. It allowed people to issue their own assets and have a liquidity pool provided for that asset, so it can have swaps 24/7 without there needing to be somebody on the other side of that bid to complete it. Now, what that did for the ledger was basically it elevated the metrics across the board in every way. Okay, we had a spike in unique wallet activations. We had a spike in on-chain volume. We had a spike in TVL, total value locked, so liquidity depth on the chain, on the ledger. In so many other respects, the NFT volume completely exploded, continues to do well. In all these different respects, these diverse respects, XRP as the native asset, not only that was doing well, but the actual ledger, right, that undergirds all this, it performed very well. And people really had a substantial, in many cases, a life-changing experience, okay? Now, this was really the first flavor of its kind for the ledger. This was in late 2024. Let's put it November, December. So here we are now in July 2026, and we're trying to forecast back to that event and say, when could this happen again? Well, we're kind of looking at what is going on chain broadly in Web3. Now we've got that's just a bit of context. Before we get to that, we're going to head to what are the on-chain metrics. But before we get there, we're going to want to look at, let's take a look at what Blockchain Backer had for us, because he neatly puts up a sentiment thesis and kind of reminds people about the broader macro of where we're heading in this market right now. And I think he got it right. I like the way that he put some of these events. Now he says here, and I'll just go ahead and read this. He says, the herd is corralled into the September-October Bitcoin bottom theory of a 1 year post peak. Okay. Everyone loves timing predictions. This is true. This is so true. Everybody loves timing predictions. Q4 2025 was the same. And he says, here's what you are betting against. Now he goes on. We won't get into all of these. We'll just loosely hit them. But just to put a bow on this, he's trying to say that the bottom is already in. And the reason he is arguing that is this list of technical metrics that he provides. But his argument is that the bottom is already in. And it's probably going to take a 3 to 6 month period for the sentiment to catch up and fully endorse what that means, because usually the sentiment is anywhere from it's usually like 3 to 6 months behind where the actual market is. We saw this in the last bear market. It took a while for people to consume that, digest it, and embrace it. Right. And so here we are right here at the bottom, hopefully. And we're saying, hey, it's going to that blow off that lagging time period of sentiment to actual on-chain metrics and actual broader market metrics. We're in that lag now, but in the reverse. So here's a list of reasons. Number one, he says on-chain, and that's what we've been talking about there. That was the context we set up earlier. On-chain already hit the FTX crash, okay, and post-bear market levels. Sailor forced to sell. He goes on for his second point. The technical behavior is the same as if FTX had already collapsed. Okay, we'll go down and scroll down to his third point here. He says supply and a loss for BTC reached these precise levels during the FTX collapse of 2022. So he's signaling back in 2022, and he's saying, listen, there's the same amount of Bitcoin on chain that is by users held that is in a % loss. Okay, so these people are in a negative P&L. And I would go down to number 4, the market, and this was a big one for me. This is, for my time personally in markets, this has been a signal that has done me well. This doesn't get talked about enough, but excuse me, I'm going to take a little sip here. But this is a very important signal. I don't think this gets talked about enough. The market already liquidated, big liquidations. The market already liquidated in epic form of 5 billion. When we first brought this up, we were looking for 2 to 2.5 billion. Okay, so 5 billion. You have to. He says you have to be. He basically says you have to bet that wasn't the ending crash. FTX was 1.5 billion. Just put that in perspective. So he says number 5. I believe this is the final reason. This bear market for the total market cap is the same depth as 2022, including the actual FTX collapse. Okay, so here we go. We've got this confluence of technical metrics that report back to a 2022 event that, obviously was marking bottoms. And for these reasons, Blockchain Backer, and I think I fully agree with him, we're given a very summarized, truncated version of this. But for these reasons, we would argue that, hey, we think this is an informed position. The metrics that are spelling the end of the bear market, we have a similar report of on-chain metrics that are actually signaling the beginning of the bull market. And so it's in this transition period where people are still having to accept mentally, where is the market? Okay, are we still grinding out? Are we in a bull market? Where are we in this? Because it's that friction, it's that confusion that provides the best opportunity for people. And, we would like to send out a signal in Cult to say, hey, if you're interested, if you want to go further as an XRP holder, specifically as an XRP holder, or if you're thinking, hey, what is XRP? I've never really been into it, but I'm kind of maybe it's my time to get a bit of exposure. Now is the time to say, I'm going to take that journey. And I think the journey that XRP holders should take is the great migration to the ledger, because that's where the most value potentially can be captured. And so we can move on off of that, went on to our second talking point here. But I just wanted to say, I think Blockchain Backer has put a bow on that for us, because Ansem, and with this Market Bubble podcast here, and I know we were talking about this before the show, Mano, but he said something very similar to this, and he's kind of known as like the GOAT of the Web3 trenches, meme coin trenches and stuff, but he's a very informed guy. He said something similar. It takes about 3 to 6 months for the sentiment, the psychology of market participants to catch up with the reality of where the market is.
So let me ask you a question now that you say that. So you say it takes 3 to 6 months. And that, again, we started off the show by me saying, hey, look, man, I'm started trenching. I'm loving it. It's definitely feeding my ADHD and giving me the dopamine hits that I need. Phenomenal family over at the Call Discord. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be. But if we are the ones at the top of the tower, blowing the trumpet and saying, hey, we're here, right? And the sentiment takes 3 to 6 months. What kind of advantage does that has for us, right? Instead, in contrast with those who are slow to warm up, those 3-monthers or those 6-monthers that are going to come in later to warm up, which is going to get the movement going, is going to be much better. But how can we really capitalize on those 90 to 180 days?
Yeah, this is perfect. I think we've actually got queued up the right stats, the right information to answer that question as we move forward. The opportunity is unparalleled. If you're an if we're confining that question down to XRP only, this is probably the biggest opportunity you're going to have as a XRP native community member. You don't want to risk, there's different ways you can go about this. The reason I like the opportunities that are on the ledger, that are becoming available on the ledger currently, and there's more to come, is because it's not leverage. I'm not a margin trader. I've never been a leverage trader. I don't really like leverage. I think it's the risk profile is not one that many people are ready to handle. It's a very difficult one. But some of these projects that are on the XRP ledger, I don't like to call them meme coins, really. Not all of them, certainly, because they're not the same. A lot of these projects are pushing into over 2 years. They've been building consistent. Think about the gentleman we had on the show last time, somebody like a Deepak from the SEAL community. Shout out to the SEAL community. Shout out Deepak, one of the top builders on the ledger. But this gentleman's been building for, a number of, I think it was over a year now. He's been on his journey as a builder, adding value to the same community, consistently showing up every day. So I think that those people, they're going to have the biggest opportunity, because those tokens represent a leveraged bet on XRP. They're going to provide asymmetric value pathways that you simply just won't be able to access anywhere else as an XRP holder, right? That's kind of the whole point of these projects. They provide a extra layer of volatility. And even David Schwartz himself said this. Maybe I'll put this in the post show notes. David Schwartz himself said one of the things he's most excited for, and one of the things that fascinates him the most about XRP meme coins, or these issued assets on the ledger, is that they provide an extra volatility, an extra risk and reward, so that people have an opportunity to make more XRP using their XRP. And this is a bit of a different concept. So not only are the individuals who are getting to the ledger early, not only are they providing a higher opportunity for more gains, significantly larger gains, they're not only putting that in front of themselves, they're also learning a fundamentally new skill for the XRP community, which is how do I use my XRP, right?
Yeah, we
Now,
talk about that. Yeah.
some people might not feel as comfortable about that because there's a lot of people in the XRP community that will say, hey, well, what if my XRP goes to $1,000 tomorrow? What if my XRP goes to $500 tomorrow? So you kind of got to settle your in your own mind as an XRP holder. You know, do you think XRP is going to go to $10? Is that more likely? Or do you think it's going to $1,000? I'm on the $10, $15, $20 camp.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm saying, hey, that's a fantastic opportunity in and of itself, but you can come out here and take exposure to an asset like a SEAL token, a cult token, whatever have you, whatever community you find yourself in. And what you'll quickly realize is that those tokens will provide you a far faster opportunity, of course, risk reward, but a far faster opportunity to make more XRP than you probably could otherwise.
Yeah, to multiply.
So there's a big opportunity, but we can go ahead and I think we got.
So tell us,
bubble,
tell us about market bubble, man.
So we just talked about the opportunity about coming on chain. Now, not only do we see the people, participants coming to the ledger, people coming into Web3 broadly, they're kind of coming back. There was this sense of vacancy maybe for the past year. And there's this renewed sense of interest of people coming back into the market. And we're one of the signals we're taking for this is the market bubble channel here, 96,000 followers. And basically what this is they're kind of bringing back this notion of creator capital markets. So they've got a show, much like we have a show. It's primarily towards Solana, Robinhood, broader Web3. They had Jesse from Base on there earlier. So it's a broader Web3 production, but regardless, they're getting great viewership. They're giving great advice, great signal. I think it's primarily backing the AMM token, which is a whole thing. We have a bit on that later in the show. Mm-hmm. But you can see here their hosts are FaceBanks and AMM. So it's great to see these individuals coming back into the market, kind of providing this consistent perception and ability for people to interact and get information. This is what we think is going to help catalyze the XRP community. So we've got these kind of signals that are real people coming in, participating every day, kind of giving life to the trenches, if you will. And so this is a phenomenal opportunity in and of itself here. So these are some of the biggest people in Web3. So to see them getting active and to see them kind of getting bullish on the ecosystem, we take that. We definitely tuck that one in our back pocket. We'll notice that one for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's next, man?
So now I think we got the post for. Yeah, let's go to the next one we have here regarding
Robinhood, right?
So as we look at the Robinhood one, what our takeaway here is. So we just said that the market bubble has to do with Solana primarily. And we got the AMM token that went to like 250 million market cap or whatever it was. You got that Jimothy, the raccoon, that kind of funny looking raccoon one. That's like at 50 million or whatever it did. Now that's on the Solana ecosystem, but we just recently had the Robinhood chain come out, and they've fully endorsed RWAs and the meme coin economy here. And so I think what we're saying here is that there's another signal saying, look, it's not just Solana. It's not just Base with their new B20 and the O1 exchange and what they're doing there as a like a DEX aggregator, a prediction aggregator, spot perps. They're kind of putting everything into one. Here with the Robinhood chain, you've got this launch pad called PONS, PONS. Now look at these stats as we scroll down. Almost 70,000 tokens launched. 25,000 unique builders, almost 4 million in creator earnings, and over 100 million in daily volume. This just came out. Okay, this is all recent. Now, I believe this is all actually in July. And so when we kind of look back on the question of where is the market, well, I think we're seeing some early first mover metrics here that are on chain. So just as Blockchain Backer basically gave us a full report to kind of put the period, the punctuation on the end of the bear market, Here we've got an on-chain report that's saying, look, that's true. But now look over here. This kind of seems like the signal in the other way, like, wow, looks like things are picking up. So the argument stands. We're looking at, for XRP community natives, we're saying, well, for us, this becomes relevant. If you don't want to go and participate in the multi-chain economy of Web3, well, is there an argument to be made that this can loop back to a 2024, late 2024 situation where a lot of those individuals, those Coles or key opinion leaders, if you will, some people have a bad look on that. Some people think it's okay, whatever. We won't get into that. But where these type of individuals start signaling, they say, oh, something's going on the ledger. Oh, check out XRP Ledger. Oh, did you know XRP had memes? Did you know XRP has NFTs? And they start saying these kind of things, and it signals people a huge liquidity rotation. Well, huge for the XRPL. A huge liquidity rotation comes back, and it creates a incredible opportunity for those who are positioned and aware that this is even something that happens. 90% of the XRP community doesn't even realize that this is on the map, and that liquidity rotation actually does come to the ledger. It does have an opportunity to come to the ledger and help us all grow and level up to build out for the next, year or so, for the next development phase, boom cycle of the ledger, and so on and so forth. That's how these things work. They grow in boom bust cycles. And it looks like here 2 years, a little over 2 years later, we're coming into the next boom cycle. One thing that's true about a boom bust cycle for a market is the earlier a market is, the more nascent a market is, and it just means earlier, when it's closer to its inception, when it began, the boom bust cycle is shorter. The longer a market lives, the more mature a market becomes. That boom bust cycle becomes longer and longer and longer. You can look at something like a Bitcoin. That's why a lot of people don't accept the 4-year thesis for Bitcoin, because that kind of defies the nature of how markets work. But so as we're here in the situation where the XRP ledger is just now coming into its own, as far as on-chain metrics, on-chain participation, we have an opportunity where, hey, these boom bust cycles are going to be the shortest they'll ever be. The beginning phase of the ledger is not something that repeats. You're either here for the early stages of the ledger or you're not, right? And the opportunity profile is going to change substantially as the market matures over time. And so we're kind of in this opportunity with the XRP ledger where it's been frozen in time, divorced from broader Web3. And we have this opportunity for it to come back in and get this full liquidity rotation, which is going to supercharge the ledger if that happens. Now, this is the thesis. We're saying, hey, we know there's a liquidity loop going on Web3. We're knowing that XRP Ledger is preparing and is aiming, is targeting towards getting in that to some degree, or what, not to become one-to-one with it, not to become identical with it, retain its identity, but join it. And we know that the smallest fraction of that liquidity and participation coming to the XRP Ledger is going to gigasend all the metrics, because XRP Ledger is basically coming off of zero. It's a very high friction, undeveloped, has a lot of these pain points. So, but that is literally what defines the opportunity as well. And so we just want to try to be as clear as we can and keep poking that signal across the screen saying, hey, I hope that people are starting to pick this up. It's a bit new for the XRP community, but it's a huge opportunity. Yeah, and it's native. It's in our backyard.
Yeah, I think people need to get well acquainted with what's going on outside of the little bubble that they've been for a while, right? Some people are just
absolutely
holding. I know that a lot has happened in the last few years, but right. It's time to start peeking above the hedge and see what's happening on the other side of the fence. I think that's very important for us to continue to grow. So after saying all of that, man, what does all these means for the XRP ledger, and where are we when it comes to our on-chain dynamics?
Okay, now this is the contrast. Okay, now we've said this in some of our earliest shows where we said, hey, Solana's done billions in volume, billions in liquidity, blah, 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 all these metrics that are astronomical. The BNB, Solana, now we have Robinhood. We just showed those metrics. I mean, those are insane. So on and so forth. And then you go look at the XRP ledger and it's stifled.
Yeah.
It's nascent. It's not even comparable. Okay, so we want to say, what's that journey look like? If you're a true believer in XRP, you truly believe that it's going to be a financial instrument that'll revolutionize the world for whatever reason. Maybe that's payments, maybe it's liquidity, the way liquidity is provisioned. Maybe it's a geopolitical play. However you settle that, if you do believe that this asset is going to achieve what it's proclaimed to do, then of course the ledger is going to be more valuable. It's going to have more metrics than it does right now. If you don't believe that, then that would undercut the fundamental argument of what XRP is. So if you're bullish on XRP, it seems disconnected to then, or disjointed to then be willfully ignorant on the ledger, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand a bit. And I believe this is probably the biggest fundamental disconnect in the minds of XRP holders, right? So as we think about this, I think I got let's go ahead and pull up the post I have for this. Yeah. I think this is the one with the data on it. Yeah, here we go. So as we just made the case for Solana, we made the case for Robinhood, we made the case for what blockchain backer is saying on the turn of the market. So we're here in this transition period of going from bear to bull. We want to be able to navigate this with metrics. And so here we go, XRP, DEX, TVL, and volume. TVL, total value locked, or how much liquidity depth on the ledger. Now, we don't have to blow into this or make a big deal out of this, right? We don't have to blow it up. But you can see here, this late 2024, that first line going up on that line chart, the blue line, you see that? That was the period that we're talking about. When First Ledger came out, we had this incredible escalation of volume, TVL, so forth. That's because the AMM amendment came out. First Ledger was there and prepared. We had Zalman for our wallet. People were able to onboard, and they were able to start taking positions in the meme tokens and the NFTs and the different projects that were coming out, everything in between, the liquidity pools. And there was just a huge spike in user participation, unique wallets, volume, liquidity, TVL. We got listed on, the ledger got listed on DEX Screener. Some of these fundamental milestones that you would look for the ledger. And now as you move forward out into that, specifically halfway through 2025, and actually including all the way into 2026 to where we are now, it's been nothing but a steady bleed off, okay, across the board. Now, you say, how much more can this go? Well, if we know that the total volume for the ledger is roughly around, I think it was around 50 or 60,000 XRP 24 hours, this is very, very low. Then I think we're in those conditions now. I think that we can say, hey, if you look at Solana, you look at what's going on with the base stuff, you look at Robinhood, you see the return of on-chain life. You see notable individuals coming out and participating in the creator capital market, right? They're creating content. They're making their bull thesis. People are taking on a broader risk on appetite. And you say to yourself, okay, well, what conditions and what metrics do we need to see to try to forecast when this liquidity is going to come back to the XRP ledger, and how do we get positioned for that? Well, I think that we keep an eye on the actual volume metrics. We look at unique users. We keep a look at what the liquidity conditions are. Some of the more fundamental metrics that we would want to see is, can you trade like higher quality, higher tier assets on the ledger? So gold, stocks, things like this, right? Perps, or will we get perps on the ledger? We'll be able to do this. Lending, now we covered in a couple episodes back, XLS 56 and so forth, with the lending protocol, single asset vaults. And once you put this whole picture together, I think you can say, listen, I think we're getting to a period where we will get that liquidity rotation back. We will be in a fundamentally different position, because we have these other fundamental metrics coming out, like the different amendments. The XRP Ledger Foundation, which we'll see here in a second, is providing grants. XRP Cafe got its 2.0 update. First Ledger got its 2.0 update. The Joey wallet just got the UK update, so you can download and use that there. So all of these different little disparate, what seem like little disparate points about the ledger, if you take a totality, if you take a broader perspective, I think we can say that we've got something special heading our way for the ledger sooner or later. I would like to think that it would be sooner, but that's what I had for that one post, and I think we've got the Ledger Foundation pulled up next. Here we go. So yeah, here's a good one. So the new XRP Ledger grants program for builders and projects, full stack funding model from retroactive support incubators to integration. No matter what you're building or contributing to, we got you. So this is the XRP Ledger Foundation stepping up, providing funding, and trying to kickstart what we just pointed at. It's because I think we do have this kind of perception of the bottom that has been put in for the Ledger, obviously for the broader market as well, but we're talking about the Ledger specifically here. And sure enough, there you go. You got the foundation stepping in and saying, hey, we're here to help catalyze as well.
Yeah. And I like what they say here, actually. He says, one part is the funding, the other one is the support. Right. So it's good. They're putting their how does it say? And go money. The money where their mouth is, right?
Yeah,
and also, and I think this is one of the biggest things is it's not only, hey, go ahead and do this and you're set. No, go ahead and do this. How can we come, alongside you to help you get to where we need to go? And I think that is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's very similar to what we're doing with Cult, right? We bring people in. We build it as a family, and we don't want you just to onboard. We want you to onboard, to become part of the family, to become the meme, to learn and to win together. So it's the journey, the support. It's included in the entrance ticket, if you will, right? And the entrance ticket is pretty much doing what you're supposed to do. Take that leap of faith. Take the step forward. So it is wonderful that they're doing that
we want
here.
People to just come out here and learn and grow with us. Basically,
learn and grow.
Learn more about the Ledger. Join some communities. Obviously, we're committed to Cult here, but a lot of friends, a lot of great projects on the Ledger. Go out there and learn about everybody. And that's the journey. That whether some people will take it sooner, some people will take it later. Yeah. But there is going to be a great migration to the XRP Ledger, and you want to take that journey sooner rather than later. Yeah, I think that would be the best case.
I think
scenario.
I mentioned it. I mentioned it before that by the time that migration happened, you don't want to be a foreigner. You want to be a local, right? And I think that being there early, it comes with a lot of benefits, and we're
not just financial.
No. There's so
knowledge,
many,
everything.
And just being comfortable with it. By the time that the technology gets to what it needs to be, you're gonna be so comfortable with it that you're gonna be able to be much more efficient than most people, and gonna be able to see patterns and to dig deeper than the average individual that is migrating now to the Ledger.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're a real bull on XRP, this is the bull thesis, right? This is it. Own your XRP, understand the ecosystem for XRP, learn how to use and deploy it, how to custody it, and kind of embrace this fuller approach to XRP and the XRP Ledger. So it's a good point for sure.
All right, so let's go to the XRP Cafe post. Break it down.
So this is this is what we were just saying earlier. So weekly update from the cafe. You can see here they got a bit of their new branding on deck here with their PFP. Looks great, I think.
Yeah, it looks great.
The blue, very clean. Some of their updates, they're giving XRPL batch voting soon. Praise God. This is a huge milestone. This is a huge milestone for the Ledger. You can see there in the comments, Satchel said win batch. He's right. Because batch is going to allow builders to be able to become more profitable in the Ledger. It's going to allow users to reduce a lot of friction. So that means more user participation, more opportunity for our builders, which is great for the eco, for the Ledger. So this is huge. And that's the first thing they said, and I'm glad that's the first thing they said. So XRPL batch voting soon. A couple more of these technical things that they're talking about. But actually, the XRP Cafe just finished their 2.0. So we have a full redesign, redeployment of XRP Cafe, which is the #1 NFT trading marketplace on the XRP Ledger.
Yeah.
In the previous episodes, we've made mention of First Ledger, which is probably the most well-known trading market for meme tokens on the XRPL. They did like basically a full rebrand, a full redesign. They added tracking, monitor, full rebuild of their liquidity pools, how you can manage liquidity. One thing that's unique about the XRPL, a lot of the platforms, basically all of the platforms on the marketplaces where you can buy and sell their meme tokens, nearly all of them are also offer access to the liquidity functions for all the tokens on the XRP ledger. Something kind of unique on the XRPL is that both the trading of the token and the liquidity management of the token happen on the same platform. The NFT marketplace is separate, but the token terminal where you actually trade like buys and swaps and the liquidity management for those tokens, those are on the same marketplace. So it would be First Ledger for token swaps and liquidity management, Joey Wallet or Xaman, XAMAN, for your wallet to integrate, be able to sign those transactions and hold those tokens, whatever they are. And then XRP Cafe for the NFT marketplace. It's kind of like a 3-part deal to onboard into the XRP Ledger right now. But it's good to see Cafe. It's good to see all the platforms. Like when you take this total view, you look at the platforms, okay, they're signaling bullish. You look at our on-chain metrics, it looks like they're bottoming, okay, new lows. When you look at the sentiment on-chain, it's what you would expect from this type of environment. When you look out into the broader Web3, got those signals kind of pushing back up. And so it looks like you can make a case that, hey, now is the time. We are in that transition from bear to bull. That'll take a number of months. We'll see how that works out, but now is the time for maximum opportunity, in my opinion. So I think that pretty much gives us. Our state of the ledger.
Of the ledger, yeah.